is going around. Okay, it started. Okay, you can see it very well. So this is the first round 1 bis, okay, to be sure. And the 2 teams for this debate will be from Sicily, Bright Sparks, and from proposition team, and for opposition team, Campania, Titans debate. Okay, do you agree with me? Very well. Okay. I'm going to read again the motion to be sure that we are not making any mistake. So the motion is: this House does not hold scientists morally responsible for the possible indirect applications of their discoveries. Okay. I will use, as you know, a wonderful, incredible application, okay? And HI and so on. And you know that it will make some sounds, okay? The first ring, when it will be at 7 minutes, after the first minute, it means that you can ask for POIs. The second ring is at the 7th minute, it means that you cannot ask any POI, okay? And at 80 minutes, it will keep on ringing, ding, 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 and you have to stop it, okay? In a few seconds, it will ring. Let me know if you hear it. Can you hear it, okay? So please try not to make your ring match with my ring, okay? Because sometimes it covers some words when we are speaking, okay? So if there is nothing to say by Rosangela, by Francesco, or somebody else, we can start this debate. So please, the first speaker from opposition team, who is Rawini, please take the floor. Thank you.
I'm starting in 3, 2, 1 now. Good afternoon, my name is Rawini Tati and I'm proudly standing as the first speaker of the proposition. Throughout my speech, I'm gonna give the definitions, the framing, the criteria, our team's line, and present our arguments. So allow me to define these terms in the motion. Scientist, someone who conducts studies and experiments in every feature of science. Morally responsible, ethically accountable, blameworthy of the studies and the outcomes of their studies. Indirect applications, consequences or uses of scientific studies and discoveries, and they occur beyond their control. Discoveries are findings something new and providing an explanation to the things. So let's give the context. The stakeholders are the scientists and the society that is affected by the discovery. So the scientists cannot feel free to search something that helps the world. And the society might be affected because not having the scientists that aren't free can make lose something from their life, can some discoveries that can help them. So our team's line is simple and direct. So this house, as a pro, believes that scientists aren't morally responsible for the indirect applications of their discoveries because their aim is to bring progress, and the morally responsible should be the ones who applied and not the one who created. So before we present our case, let's establish how this debate should be judged. We propose 3 criteria. So independence of scientific activity, scientific progress, and intention of the scientists. So with these criteria in mind, let's turn to our argument. I, Ravin Tadi, the first speaker of the proposition, will present the first argument, that is, holding scientists morally responsible slows or stops the process of the discovery. Arianna, the second speaker of the proposition, will present the second argument, that is the unpredictability of the usage of discovery. And the third argument presented by the second speaker of the proposition is a scientist's intention is to expand knowledge through their discoveries and not to harm. So I present the first argument. So accusing them about an application of their discovery made by someone else is like putting a barrier in front of their work. Because of the fear to be accused, they might stop their experiments and we might lose something important for our society. In the history, many scientists were censored by the authorities, and it might be that we have lost something precious for our life, for our future, and we don't even know. So, this stopping can lead to an halt of progress in the society. We can lose something important in our life only because scientists aren't free. They don't feel free. So holding the scientists responsible fails our criterion of scientific and social progress. And with this, I finish my speech.
4 minutes and 5 seconds. Angela and Francesco, are you okay? Very well, okay. So let's go to the second speaker of this debate, the first speaker from opposition teams. So Giovanna, please, thank you.
Okay, can you hear me properly?
Yeah, we hear you, okay.
If everyone's ready, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, esteemed opponents and honorable judges. My name is Giovanna Di Mazzo, and I will be the first speaker of the opposition team on this motion. First of all, I would like to rebut a little bit of what has been said by my opponent, which basically her main argument was that responsibility is like a wall to a scientist's work. And so my question is, if responsibility is a wall, then what stops science from becoming dangerous? I mean, are we suggesting that morality and progress can coexist? I mean, I will rebut this better with my own argument, in which I will say that responsibility and science must go on a parallel path, because with great power comes great responsibility, to quote a famous movie. So I will start by defining the main terms of these motion that I will repeat. Morally responsible. Okay, by morally responsible, we mean having an ethical duty or accountability for the foreseeable outcomes of one's actions. And we don't mean necessarily direct legal responsibility, but the responsibility to reflect on and anticipate how one's work might affect humanity. Then by indirect application, we mean, I think we meant it as to refer to the use of scientific discovery in a way not originally intended by its creator, often by others, and sometimes leading to harm or misuse. For example, a chemical discovered for medicine purposes later may be used for harmful weapons, or algorithms designed for data analysis that later are repurposed to manipulate elections or spread misinformation. So Let's do a little bit of contextualization though, because in today's world, science is more powerful and interconnected than ever. Okay, AI shapes our decisions. Biotechnology can alter life itself. Nuclear physics can power or destroy cities. And so, with such immense power comes great and moral responsibility. If we tell scientists, don't worry, you're not morally responsible for what happens next, we create a dangerous mindset, one where innovation happens in a vacuum without regard for humanity. This motion would absolve scientists of reflection, restraint, and responsibility, and that is not a world we want to live in. And so my team's team line is very simple. I, the first speaker, will talk about how scientists have, as I already said, great power and so great responsibility. And so I will talk about the responsibility of science in general. Then the second speaker, Miriam, will talk about lessons from history. So uh, she will prove the principle through real world precedents. And then she will also talk about the future of science that demands moral awareness. So she will show the urgency and relevance today. I want to clarify though that we are not saying that
Point.
scientists should. I accept.
Don't you think that it's the usage in a harmful way that is dangerous instead of the discovery itself?
Yeah, okay. I was arriving to that point. Thank you for your question. I was saying that we do not hold accountable just the scientists, okay? I will explain it better with in my argument. We are saying that they are also responsible. We are not blaming just them, okay? But we are blaming the way that they can act in with their discovery. I will explain it better now because I'm starting my first argument. Uh, so science doesn't exist in isolation, okay? Every discovery is embedded in society, and scientists, as the creators of knowledge, have unique insight into how their work could be used, okay? They might not have intended harm, but they could foresee it. And once something is foreseeable, moral responsibility begins. Even today,
You're right.
organizations, I refuse, sorry, organizations like the UN emphasize ethical guidelines for scientists on gene editing, on AI, and climate research. Why is that? Because these institutions understand that science must be paired with moral foresight. Science gives humans power, okay, but without moral responsibility, that power becomes dangerous. When scientists make discoveries, they're not innocent bystanders. They are gatekeepers of knowledge. They understand their creations more deeply than anyone else. And they can often foresee both the benefits and dangers. That knowledge gives them a special moral duty to use foresight, to question, to act responsibly. To explain this, I want to borrow a metaphor from the movie, the Oscar winner, a movie, Oppenheimer. In the movie, Oppenheimer himself uses the metaphor of Prometheus, you know, the myth in which Prometheus gives the fire to humans and is punished by the gods later on. Fire gave warmth and light, but it also gave the power to burn. That's what science is, fire in human hands. Prometheus was punished not for for stealing power and at a fire, and consequently for giving it carelessly, for underestimating what humanity could do with it. Likewise, scientists hold something incredibly powerful. When they discover, they ignite possibilities. And with that act comes the moral obligation to ensure those possibilities in the world. Now, it's true, scientists can control anything, but morality isn't about control, it's about care. It's about whether they did what they could, whether they warned others, built safeguards, or supported ethical regulation. So, because without responsibility, science loses its humanity. Without morality, discovery becomes destruction waiting to happen. So, as Prometheus gave fire to mankind, scientists give us the tools of creation. But my question is, if we separate that fire from responsibility, do we light the world or do we burn it? With this, I as the first speaker of the opposition, firmly the motion, and I end my speech. Thank you all for listening to me.
8 minutes and 8 seconds. If Rosangela and Pier Francesca are okay, yes, they're okay. The inch is okay. And so let's let Arianna take the floor. Thank you. Arianna,
Can you hear me?
second speaker. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arianna, and I'm proudly standing as the second speaker of the proposition. Throughout my speech, I will first review what the proposition team has said, and then I'll present the proposition's other arguments. So the opposition team has stated that scientists hold great power, and therefore they carry great moral responsibility. This argument does not hold true when we examine real life, since scientists are bringing to the world new tools and new knowledge. If we accept the opposition's logic, we are accepting that every innovator becomes guilty. And that is not justice, that is fear disguised as morality. So there is a fundamental difference between knowledge and creation. Creation is about discovering facts, principles, and new technologies. Knowledge as application is using those discoveries in the real world. The moral responsibility arises in the applicators. Scientists create possibilities, and others choose how to use them. Science tries to understand the world, not to decide how discoveries should be used. If we consider scientists morally responsible for bad application, we discourage curiosity and research. The responsibility lies with users, not with the discoverers. The moral burden should fall on those who choose to apply scientific knowledge in harmful ways. Many discoveries have unpredictable consequences, and they can be unpredictable even decades later. It is unreasonable to expect scientists to predict every possible bad use. So, this argument does not hold true when we examine the difference between knowledge creation and knowledge application. As my first speaker explained, our stance is built on 3 key pillars. The first is control, which defines moral responsibility. Second is discovery and application, which are ethically distinct. And unpredictability makes moral blame unreasonable. To further strengthen our case, I will now add another point. For example, the opposition team has stated an example from Oppenheimer's movie, and he was a human being, so his guilt proves his morality, not his moral responsibility. He felt guilty because of his sense of responsibility and because his guilt was personal and philosophical. It was not ethical or institutional. That's exactly our distinction, because Oppenheimer built a tool and the US government used it. So the opposition claimed that scientists should anticipate every possible use and misuse of their discoveries. But however, yes, I accept it.
So are you saying that if I design something that I know can be easily misused, isn't that
Sorry. You need to turn your microphone on, please.
sorry, if I design something that I know can be easily misused, isn't that partly my responsibility?
The responsibility, as we said, is not the burden of the scientist, because progress is made in a fast time. Also, in decades, a lot of things change. So, as I said, it's unreasonable to say that someone should predict what will happen in the future. That's the difference between intent and control. A discovery becomes moral or immoral through decision, not through science. That's why our argument is the unpredictability of the use of the discoveries in science, because science evolves faster and faster than anyone can predict. To demand a perfect foresight is to demand the impossible, and to punish innovation for the crimes of this scientific innovation is initially an uncertainty because it cannot be done, and also it's wrong. When a scientist discovers something, whether it's a formula, a piece of code, or a reaction, they are creating knowledge. They are not deciding how that knowledge will be used. The act of discovery itself carries no moral direction. It simply expands what humanity can know. The moral question can only be when someone chooses to apply that knowledge. That's where the intent can be wrong, because a discovery becomes immoral through the decision of who uses those research, those scientific researches. So if science are judged by their intent and their control, and not by the indirect outcome, this is not only logical, but it's also practical, because this is how science actually functions in society. Scientists research, policymakers regulate, and industries apply. Each one has a role and each one has a moral weight. So we need to understand this difference in society. The scientists should not fear to let their knowledge into the world, because therefore there would not be any more creativity or scientific research or progress, as we said. Instead, we need to understand that morality is a burden of the state and of the industries that apply those scientific research and that knowledge. That's why through our arguments, we explain the key points of our team's line, and we consider a practical and logical way, a practical and logical approach. And as our first speaker explained, we want to defend scientific research and to explain that it is unpredictable. This clearly demonstrates that our side argument is not only logical but also practical, and it is how the real world functions and how it is in reality. And with that, I end my speech. Thank you.
7 minutes and 28 seconds. Okay, if Francesco and Sandra are okay. Okay, very well. Let's go to the second speaker from opposition team. I think she's Miriam. Okay, please, Miriam, take the floor. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Miriam, and I am the second speaker of this team. So, first off, I would like to clarify something. We didn't say that scientists cannot create. We said that they have to create in a conscious way. What we're saying is that there is absolutely there is absolutely a way to predict the outcome of an experiment, because if you are researching a certain topic, you can imagine the consequences. Basically, if I am researching in a context about war or nuclear bombs, etc., I know that the outcome of my experiments will lead probably to many deaths, because I am a projective weapon for war. Basically, we believe that there is a difference between being we should hold accountable the scientists, because as I said, they know what they're researching, they know the consequences, and they know for which company they are probably researching. So, as my first speaker said, I'm going to present to you the lessons from history, by which I mean I will be explaining how the not holding scientists accountable led to tragedy in the course of history, and also in the future that will be happening again. So, for history, I would like to present the example of the nuclear fission. So, we know that nuclear fission led to I accept.
So you said that scientists can predict the consequence, but the scientists who invented the internet knew that cybercrime could start?
That's actually a good question. And by that, I actually mean that they do not know the direct consequence in the literal way. I mean that they can imagine what are the dangers, and by that I mean that we can imagine the consequences. Also, I would like to continue with the nuclear topic. So we know that it led to the discovery to both clean energy and the atomic bomb. So, should Oppenheimer be held accountable? Yes, he should. As we know, he himself felt guilty about it. And that's because if you're researching in a certain area of work, you can imagine that it could be used as a weapon. Also, for the future, I would like to present the example of the AI. So, the creator of AI should be held accountable for the threats that it can represent, such as the misinformation it can spread, and the fact that many companies are replacing the workers, the human workers that earn money from their work with the cheaper and the faster AI. So, as I said before, it is quite clear that when I am researching something that can potentially give every human a answer and a fast answer, that can lead to link to the replacing to replace the human work. Again, every creator, every researcher should be held accountable, and that the same can be said for the I would like to go back to to create in a conscious way, which we mean that which we mean that in general we aren't saying that we shouldn't be creating, but we should be creating based on our moral. I believe that someone with strong morals will never be researching a way to exterminate our society as it happened with the nuclear bomb. And it is also all about morals. We should not forget that a scientist is a human, and many. I refuse. I'm sorry. Is a person with moralities and is a human. Therefore, since they are so scientists and they are so, we can say, gifted people which can predict the outcome of their research, they can imagine what can happen. We also learn from the past. As I previously said, the nuclear bomb, we learn from the past, and in the future, every scientist can imagine the consequences of their work. And with this, I end my speech. Thank you.
7 minutes and 27 seconds. Okay. Rosangela, Francesco, are you okay? Very well. So let's go to the third speaker from proposition team, who is Anita. Please, Anita, take the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Go. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Anita Refino. I'm proudly standing as the third speaker in the proposition of today's debate. So my job as the third speaker is to first crystallize this debate, to make it crystal clear, and then give a rebuttal of everything that the opposition has said so far, while doing so strengthening my team's case. So, a major question has emerged during this debate. And from the motion, who should be held morally responsible? Is it the scientist who makes the discoveries, or is it the agents who apply those discoveries? For example, companies, governments. I would like to talk about some certain things that the other team has said and then rebut them, say why they're wrong, and then rebut them. So the other team has talked about the myth of Prometheus. They brought it up, saying that he was punished for what humanity could do with fire. Now, I want to reflect a bit here. Who is responsible for what humanity did with fire? Is it Prometheus or is it humanity? It's clearly humanity. Then also the other team said that scientists can often predict the consequences of their discoveries, but in most cases this isn't true. For example, I'm going to bring the example of Mendel, the scientist who studied genetics, observing peas. He had studied how traits are inherited. He couldn't know that then these theories that he studied and exposed would be used to justify racism and eugenics, because racist people bred certain races. He didn't know that. He was just trying to explain why peas, like he was trying to explain inheritance. So scientists scientists can predict the consequences of the discoveries. Another example, the inventor of the internet couldn't be able to predict the cybercrime, like the act of a cybercrime. Or another thing, projecting AI and exposing it, how like AI was projected to solve problems, to make life easier, to proceed, to have a progress in medicine. How they couldn't have been projecting it to replace workers. That's something that the company does. It's not the scientist. So also, the other team has said at some point that scientists who can research how to exterminate humans. This is absurd. No, scientists research, their goal is to understand how the world works. Is there a point? No? Okay. Their goal is to understand how the world works and then explain it. It's not to harm. Their intentions are neutral. They're just trying to explain and understand and explain the world. They're not trying to harm. The harm comes from the misuse of those discoveries. So I also want to say, I want to reinforce how important the criteria that we're supporting are. Progress in science means progress in society. If we, like, for example, if we told Mendel, don't research in genetics because it's going to cause breeding of races, we wouldn't know how it works, because he would be held morally responsible and for something that we might consider controversial, and then there would be a halt in progress, both scientific progress, but in a direct consequence, societal progress. And another example. Yes, I accept.
So, are you saying that the scientist is smart enough to create things, but he didn't know how it was going to be used?
Sorry, could you repeat, because it blocked some of what you said?
Of course. So, are you saying that the scientist is smart enough to create a certain thing, but but he didn't know how it was going to be used?
It doesn't have to do with the scientist's intellect. The scientist is researching like they're researching something and finding an explanation for it. But yes, in those cases, and it's most cases, the scientists wasn't aware of the application of the negative application that government agents would use. Another example of this, Einstein studied the theory of relativity to explain how time works, how space works. He never intended to help in the future. He never meant to give help to build nuclear wars. And so the harm here came from the misuse, not the discovery itself. So I hope I answered to your point accordingly. So the coming back to the first to the area that I established previously, which was who is morally responsible? Is it the scientist or is it the ones who received the discovery? It's the ones who receive the discovery. Those are the ones responsible for any harm. And with this, I conclude my speech. Thank you for listening.
6 minutes and 53 seconds. Angela and Francesco, okay? Very well. So let's go to the third speaker from opposition team. It should be Angela.
Hello everyone, I'm Angela. I'm the third speaker from opposition team, and in this overall speech, I want to reassure what the position of our line was. On the first place, I want to reaffirm what our principle is, that with great knowledge comes great responsibility, and this is the principle that follow through our whole debate and our arguments. We were by the other team sort of described as our arguments were are seen sort of absurd, but I don't think this is at all an absurdity. In fact, for example, it was said that by the other team that morality is a burden for science. I think this is I think this is actually absurd, to be fair, because what do you mean by that? I mean, isn't everyone moral? Shouldn't everyone have morality within himself? And I think this is wrong, because actually science and is inside our society, and so morality should be an important factor to consider. First of all, because it is a human perseverance, and secondly, there are other aspects that we should consider. For example, there are many scientists that might act immoral because of second reasons, for example, money, or in general, they could take advantage of it for power reasons. So I think that morality and science can coexist, and should coexist for a better society in general. And yes, as we said, scientists should be taken accountability for their research. There were other things we discussed. For example, the other team said that when we did the POI in the last part of the debate, in the third speaker, RPI was referred to the fact that maybe what they were saying was that maybe the scientists couldn't actually understand what they were doing, so they didn't know the impact that they were causing. In refer to what Mendel said, but actually, our point was that of course they can understand what they're doing, but in Mendel case we are talking about a completely different topic, and our main topic was the nuclear bomb researches. So of course the immediate understanding, I mean, the immediate consequences are obvious of the nuclear bomb research. But with Mendel, we are in a completely different aspect of science,
Point.
and also, yeah,
Point.
except.
Can I know why it is a different topic, Mendel and the nuclear thing? Why is it different?
Yeah, because the finality of the two siders are completely different, and also the impact are completely different. They can't be put on the same scale. This is our team opinion, and also Mendel couldn't, of course, came to that conclusion because this happened way later than when he did research, and also it's not an immediate consequences, while the nuclear bomb scientists that work on it knew exactly what they were doing. And I think Mendel was actually moral in what he was doing, while of course the nuclear bomb creator weren't moral at all. They knew what was gonna cause. So actually morality is very important. That can, of course, even with morality we can still have some problems, and of course that's part of life. But the point is we should still have some um, decency. I mean, we should have moral, because that's what's the best for us. If we take away completely all the accountability from scientists, they're probably gonna be they're probably not gonna consider all these problems, and they're gonna do what is best for their personal mm, interests, so money and power, etc. So that's our points,
Point.
and yeah.
Point. Are you saying that the interest of a scientist is money? It's not
I'm,
science? Like
I'm saying that
knowledge?
sorry, I'm saying that scientists, without, if they're not aware of the possibility to be taken accountability of their discovery, they can be act immoral. So this is a way to regulate that. We're not saying that scientists are bad people and they want to kill everyone, they want to destroy humanity. We're saying that we actually saying the opposite, that they are supposed to be moral. So why should we not, why should we say that they shouldn't be moral? I mean, of course they should be, taken accountability, because if they're moral, what's the problem? Why should they be? Why should they fear what they're doing if they're doing it morally? So also, I think that the proposition team said that about the fear that scientists might feel when they're discovering things with this with if they're taking accountability. I think that's crazy because what fear? If they're moral, if they're acting right, why should they fear something? So if they fear something, maybe there's something they're doing wrong. This is what we think, and I think we can finish here the debate. Thank you for listening.
7:59. If Angela and Francesco are okay, we can go with the last speaker from opposition team, and it should be Giovanna.
Can you hear me properly?
We have a particular echo, and it sounds like an echo. I don't know why.
Okay.
I try to turn my microphone off, okay, and I try to open it only when there will be a ring, okay. So when you want, you can start.
Okay, so if everyone's ready, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Giovanna Di Marzo again, and at the heart of this debate lies one burning question. Who holds the moral compass of science? The proposition stood before you and said, it is not scientists, it is progress, it is state, it is humanity. But us, opposition, stood firm and said that science without moral direction is a ship sailing blind. Let's analyze some points of clash. The main point of clash, of course, was the nature of responsibility. The proposition told us that scientists aim for progress, that their job ends when discovery begins. But in this way, in their world, progress without conscience is not progress, it's just peril. Instead, us on the opposition never said that scientists must carry all the world's guilt, but we said that with great power comes great responsibility. So, in our world, when you hold knowledge that can shape or shatter humanity, you hold a moral duty, not to control everything, but to consider everything. Because ignoring responsibility is not neutrality, it's negligence. The second point of clash was the creation versus the application. The proposition tried to draw a neat little line. Scientists create and others apply. But ladies and gentlemen, science does not live in boxes, okay? Creation and application are threads of the same fabric. And to say otherwise is to say that the spark has no role in the fire. And the opposition, in our world, we believe that the spark must always be aware of what it can ignite. And then another point of clash was the role of the state, because they said that in their world, the state take responsibility. But since when did morality belong to bureaucracies? I mean, states regulate, yes, but scientists innovate with insight. Responsibility is not a task that you assign, it's a value that you uphold. It's every scientist's hand, it's in every scientist's hands that hold the moral thought to politician. Because if every scientist hands over moral thoughts to politician, who will be left to question, to warn, to pause before we cross ethical lines? Governments can write laws, but conscience is born with people. So what I'm saying is just that imagine science as a great ship, Okay? The state might steer it through policy. Society may set its destination, but scientists hold the compass. Each of them, in their own way, help guide the vessel through uncharted waters. When every hand does its part, when morality is shared, the ship moves safely forward. But when scientists let go of the compass, claiming it's not my job, the ship drifts aimlessly, and sometimes it sinks. So that we think that as opposition, progress is not measured by how far we go, but it's measured by how wisely we steer. And with these, ladies and gentlemen, I end my speech. Thank you all for listening to me.
3 minutes and 46 seconds. I made, sir, okay? Yes, so we can get the last speaker of this debate. Arianna, please.
Yeah. So my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. My role today is to summarize this debate and show why our side has clearly won. Both teams have presented compelling points, but it's clear that the proposition stands stronger on logic, evidence, and impact. Today we have created two imaginary words. The word of the proposition, which is logical, beneficial, realistic, and humane, defends ethics and research, and condemns the bad application due to profit, interest, and war. The word of the opposition is unrealistic, harmful, and inconsistent. A word that sounds moral until you try to live in it. Where science is treated like a threat, and science must be constantly feared and apologized for existing. Where scientists hesitate before exploring and innovation slows down. That's why in the pro world, science and morality work together. A world where scientists are ethically but are not blamed for what they cannot control. A world that values intention, fairness, and truth. A word that encourages discovery while placing a moral accountability where it belongs. The moral accountability belongs in the hands of those who choose to use knowledge, not in those who create it. The word of the opposition is a word built on punishment, not on progress. In their word, curiosity becomes danger, and innovation becomes a moral risk. That's why it is idealistic and inconsistent and ultimately harmful. In the opposition world, scientists live in fear, and every discovery is a potential sin. That's why our world is grounded in fairness and it separates creation from application and responsibility from fear. That's a word that is not only logical but also practical, that protects discovery while ensuring accountability, and where real choices are made. In contrast with the opposition word, which sounds moral in theory but collapses in practice. They demand a perfect foresight and universal gifts and impossible standards. In their world, everything works perfectly, but only in theory. In our world, the real world, actions have consequences and people are affected. Our world accepts reality, solves problems, and protects people. That's why our world stands while theirs collapses. And that's why we haven't just argued, but we've proven, and we haven't just spoken, but we stood firm, because we've proven that in the real world there are consequences, but that we try to find an ethical balance between uh, science progress and the fairness and truth. We showed that we consider scientists not morally responsible because we mean that they shouldn't act in an irresponsible way. In fact, they must act ethically, respecting life and progress. Our word is based on a distinction of responsibility. So which word is better? Which word protects morality and progress? That move with reasons and questions. And there is only one choice, that is the word that empowers, protects, and uplifts humanity. And that is the word of the proposition. With that said, I end my speech and thank you very much for your attention.
3 minutes and 52 seconds. So, as you know, please open up all your microphones. Okay. Thank you. And clap your hands. Okay, I'm stopping recording. So I stopping recording. Okay. Interrupt.